Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Friday the 5th of January 2024. So Happy New Year's! I hope all of you who celebrated had a lovely holiday period, and we're back with some knitting. I have so much stuff to show you guys, both travel knitting, finished objects, as well as quite a lot of new cast-ons, and I did some cheeky yarn purchases in Germany, so I'll put those towards the end if you're interested in sort of the typical German yarn stores and what I liked and so on. So let's just jump right in. First up, I am wearing my Lento. This is a pattern by Jonna Hietala. I think formerly this was part of the Line magazine, but you can now buy the pattern by itself. I made about 15 million of these last year. I think in reality it was 4 or 5, although one of them didn't turn out great due to my yarn choice, so let's ignore that one. This one I modified the increases to do some yarn overs, which works great, except I'm wearing a striped t-shirt underneath, which wasn't the greatest choice, but who cares, it's my sweater. And as you can tell, this one is very fuzzy and very much pilling. But for this one, I used Suri alpaca. I'd used drop Suri alpaca, and yes, it is looking a little bit worn, but this is so warm. This is ridiculously warm. I finished this, I think, towards the end of spring last year, and I couldn't wear it because it was way too warm. But now it's perfect because it is so light. It is such a light sweater, but actually it does keep me much warmer than I thought it would. So this one has been a firm favorite. I've just been wearing this everywhere, and yeah, very happy with it. And then of course I am wearing an FO, which is my, what's it called? We County Yarns Mini Ball Advent Calendar 2023. So for this, and I've talked about this many times in the last couple of episodes, for this I used the little 10-gram mini skeins of JC Rennie, which is a Scottish, or is it Scottish yarn? I think it is, like a proper woolly wool. You got 10 grams of yarn in a different color each day, and then a little color work chart, and I absolutely love this. I think I may have turned quite a few of you onto this as well. I'm definitely doing it again next year. This is what it looks like. I decided to do a double loop cowl, and it is looking a little wrinkled just because, you know, it gets scrunched up, being worn, and so it doesn't look pristine anymore, but it's actually perfect. So in terms of the pattern, I pretty much followed it. I omitted one chart and changed it to this one just because I love this one so much. And I think the official pattern ended here. And then you can see from here to here, this is the amount that I added on just to make it a double loop. So you have enough yarn and enough charts to do whatever really. And then here you can probably not even tell, this is where I Kitchenered it together. So there is the option of a provisional cast on, but I am lazy. I just did a regular cast on, and then I picked up the stitches at the very end and I Kitchenered it, so it's a little bit thicker, but honestly I don't think anyone could tell when wearing it where I did the Kitchener. And I actually took this to Germany and didn't even block it. I wore it. I lost my voice over Christmas. Maybe you can still sort of tell. I lost my voice over Christmas, and I basically didn't have a voice for about a good week. Pretty much our entire stay. So this was great. And then on like day 3 or something, I actually blocked this. I put it on the radiator. I just wanted to wear it again as quickly as possible, and it's softened up so much, and I could not love this anymore. I'm really, really happy with it. So that is one finished object. I have another one which you didn't see as a work in progress, but I did show you the yarn as a to knit plan for our trip. So these are my husband's socks. For these I held sock yarn double. Don't ask me which one. One of the German sock yarns. It's not Opal, it's not Regia, it's one of the other ones. There are quite a few out there, and I had this ball of, it's black and white, it's coming out a bit bluish, but it's black and white and grey sort of tones. I had this in stash for a while. I did buy this to make socks for Kai, for my husband initially. And I just caked it up into 250-gram balls. And then I knitted one strand from the inside and one strand on the outside. So I held it double throughout. And yes, I can get my husband's size feet, a size 44 sock out of sock yarn held double, which I thought was a really good thing to know. So the leg isn't super long, but it's also not short. And yeah, this was really fun. I knitted these on 3.25 millimeter needles. Initially, I started with a 52 stitch sock, but it was too loose, so I ripped back and restarted with a 48 stitch sock. And yeah, they look quite different, which I thought was interesting. I think it's just the way that the colors and the strands lined up. This one looks lighter and is more stripy, and this one's more sort of, I don't know, uniformly crazy. I don't know. But they're done just in time for a cold snap, actually. And yeah, very happy. I want to say I finished these on New Year's Eve. I had, I think, 2 more rows to knit on the toe at actual like midnight New Year's. But my son was scared of the fireworks, so I almost finished them on New Year's Eve. I almost finished them in 2023. I literally had to do 2 more rows and the Kitchener by the time we got back to the UK. So these are done. Sorry, my voice is already going, but we're just gonna keep going. And then I got home, and you will hear more about this later. I knew that the Attic 24 crochet along was starting on the Friday. We got home on the Monday. So I wanted to finish this blanket for my son before, or at least get it as far as possible before the crochet along, ideally finish it. And I did. It's done, and honestly, guys, I think I'm becoming a crocheter. I actually really missed crocheting when we were away, and you will see I did a little crochet project and borrowed some of my sister's crochet hooks. But yeah, I miss crochet. I don't know, it's so relaxing. There's something about it that's making me addicted to crochet at the moment. And when we got home, I was a little bit stressed out. Just a lot going on, and our trip was wonderful, but it's, a week with both traveling with a 3-year-old and lots of family, so lots of socializing, and I didn't really know what to knit when we got back, so I just worked on this blanket so much. Let's see. I was about here at the orange when we got back, so I crocheted all of this between Monday night, and I finished it on Thursday. I have now washed it. I just threw it in a 30-degree wash, and this turned out so lovely. It's actually really soft and really sort of squishy. In the beginning, this is a Papatya yarn, which is a Turkish brand. This is Papatya Cake, they call it. Don't ask me the colorway. Whatever one looks like a muted rainbow, essentially. I used 3 cakes of it, which I think each cake is 150 grams. It could be 200. I think it's 150. And I said in the beginning that I didn't love crocheting with this as much as I enjoyed like the Specialty K by Stylecraft and so on. I think I've changed my mind. This is 100% acrylic as well. And it was a little bit awkward to crochet with in the beginning, but it is so squishy. It's a bit thick. It feels thicker. It feels a bit more substantial than the Specialty K, and having washed it now, it is just so soft. It's not stiff or anything anymore. It's nice and drapey, and I love it. My son loves it. I had to sneak it away because no one's allowed to use it but him, of course. As you can tell, I just did a simple granny stitch on a 4mm hook. This entire project, having bought the yarn on a Black Friday sale, I think cost me £15, which is crazy. But to have a blanket that I can just throw in the wash a million times is great, and I'm so happy this is done. He's really excited by it, and oh, look at those colors. Aren't they beautiful? I really, really like them, and also because the yarn did all the work for me, the yarn did all the color changes, this was really relaxing. So yeah, 3 finished objects. And if anyone was wondering, you might remember the scarf that I knit for my husband. I finished it last episode, but sort of I bound off but didn't weave in the last end because I thought if it's too short, I will just make it longer, have more yarn. I gave it to my husband and he loves it. He thought it was perfect. He didn't expect it. It was really great. So yay, I don't have to lengthen it, but also I'm just really glad that he's been wearing it. So yeah, let's move on to some works in progress in a very random order, I can tell you that. These are my double knit socks that I started basically as like a test for my husband's socks before Christmas. I didn't take this with me, but these are the same recipe as my husband's. They're actually also 48 stitches, but on metal needles, and somehow I think they're going to be okay for my size, which is curious because usually I need a smaller stitch count. Who knows? But this was sort of my first sock yarn haul double experiment. Again, 48 stitches, sock yarn haul double. This yarn is what Mustard made in one of her Bird Surprise Club colorways from a couple of years ago. I mentioned before, this is a BFL sock yarn, and I don't love working with BFL sock yarn. I love the socks that it makes. They wear really well, I just don't love working with it. But holding a double, it actually is much more enjoyable for me, and I think the effect of the hand-dyed double-stranded is really cool. So when we got back, I think I was halfway down the foot of this first sock, so I finished the sock, and last night I got this one ready for the heel. So as you can tell with this one, I didn't know how much yarn I would need, so I made the leg fairly short. But yeah, this one's ready for the heel, and this is the next sort of knitting project that I just want to bang out. I just want to be done with this. And also, we have a cold snap coming. I will need these warmer socks because I have none. So yeah, that's another double-stranded sock. Where shall we continue? Shall we stay on the topic of socks? I also took a sock project with me, of course, for Christmas. So these ones were my Christmas Eve cast on, if you want to call it that. I cast these on the plane because we did fly on Christmas Eve. But I also wanted to take some sock yarn for myself, and I balled up this yarn. Great visualization, isn't it? The yarn is Fab Funky Fibers. Don't ask me the colorway, I don't know. It was one of her colorways. She had a sale recently, a couple of months ago, and some of her colorways were like crazy discounted. I'm not sure if there's something wrong with them. I'm wondering if maybe the stripe order of this one is messed up and that's why it was really affordable. Because you would think that this stripe should be here, shouldn't it? I think that might be the reason why, but I love it anyways, I don't care. So I bought the 50 grams skein of self-striping and then just divided that into 2 balls of yarn. And somehow I got a mini skein as well, which I don't think was included in the listing. So I think I just got lucky. So this is my first sock. As you can tell, I did my regular sock with a contrasting cuff and heel, and I'm just going to knit either until I run out of yarn. I'm not sure if I have enough of the contrast to knit cuffs and heels and toes. So maybe if I can squeeze the toe out of the main color as well, that might be the safer option. If not, I'll just work something out. But yeah, this was mainly, I knit a little bit while I was there, and then I turned the heel before we flew back. So this is my progress minus 2 stripes that I made on the plane back. And yeah, I think it's really pretty. It's a weird sort of color progression, but I do really like it actually. I think it's really fun, and if you've been watching for a while, you'll know that I just generally really quite like what Fab Funky Fiber does. All of her self-strapping colorways are really fun, and so if there's a sale, I'm always going to go for it. So yeah, that was my socks. And then the last travel project that I took was my leftovers from this advent cowl. So of course I'm in the middle of a row. Of course I am. I basically just balled up whatever I had left over of these little minis each day into like a big sort of random, what do you call a magic ball, I guess. Initially, I wanted to keep them in their little, skein shape, whatever you want to call them. So I could do some color management, but I just kept losing it. So I was like, if I just end up losing all this yarn, I'm not gonna do anything with it. So I just balled it up. It's very random. I'm still not sure how I feel about it. And then I got emergency mohair because I needed it very, very quickly. So I got this off Amazon actually. This is Gazal, which I think is also a Turkish brand. This is 20% polyamide, merino, and super kid mohair. So it's basically your standard, kid silk mohair. Made in Turkey. There you go. So I am quite close to finishing my first out of 3 balls of mohair. And I am making a shawl that you can't see because I am in the middle of a row. But you won't be able to see it anyways because it is on tiny needles. This is the Garter Abyss by Stephen West. The reason I wanted to originally do one of his other garter shawls. Let's back up. First, I was going to do a wrap in half fisherman's rib. And I think that would have looked really, really pretty. But I started it and I realized it would be just like another scarf. Or like I've just done so many long rectangular things. I've done the value study scarf by Pel Soho, which took me forever. And guess what? I'm not wearing it at all. I don't even like it. Then I did my husband's scarf and I did this. And all of these were like long sort of projects. So I just needed something more interesting. So I was going to do the... What's the other garter shawl by Stephen West that's really crazy? There's another one that people make really, really scrappy. But it's got like a weird triangle at the top. So I decided to instead go for the Garter Abyss, which is very similar in that it's a garter shawl with some funky sort of eyelet increases. So it's very, very simple. But I think it has a more wearable shape. And I'm sorry, this is the worst whip show I've ever done. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm just holding the mohair together with the random stripes and it is very random. Do I love it? I'm not sure yet. It was very meditative to knit. It was the perfect knit to have while, hanging out with a million family members, sitting on the couch, having a drink at night. Yeah. I don't know if I love the colors, but I did get a new coat over Christmas and it's sort of a bit more open. It's a camel coat. It's like a camel boucle coat. And I've realized that unlike my old coat, this one is really good with big shawls because it is quite open at the front. So I've been wearing it with my Geo Gradient shawl by Stephen West. And I'm thinking I need more colorful big wraps or shawls. And because it's camel, anything goes and anything actually looks quite good because I usually tend to dress like a rainbow and I look like a rainbow. But I've noticed that now with this camel coat, even if I'm wearing my crazy rainbow hat, it doesn't look so mad because the coat is sort of classic. So this would be nice to wear. It would be really comforting. So let me know what you think. Obviously there's going to be very different colors coming. It just sort of started out with the blues and reds and blues and like a million blues essentially, because that's the order this was in. But we are going to get different colors. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not 100% convinced, but I think it might actually be a good idea to just keep going. And also, I wouldn't know what else to do with this yarn. Sad notes. You may remember my Mohairino medley shawl, which is also by Stephen West. And I love that shawl. I'm not sure if I love the yarn that I chose, and I tried to pick it up again yesterday, and I was not feeling it. So I haven't frocked it. I have put it in as a blog bag. I don't usually do this, but life is short, and I don't want to spend my time knitting on something I'm not convinced about. So I have now put that into hibernation, and either I'll come back to it, or maybe one day I'll knit it with different yarn, because it's such a fun pattern. And I want to love the finished result. And I don't want to keep knitting on a shawl that I love with colors that maybe I don't love and that also don't go with my new coat. So that one is hibernating for now. All right. I do have some new cast-ons as well. Oh no, actually, I have another thing that sort of leads into my acquisitions, but we'll do it now. So I visited 2.5 yarn stores in Germany, which is confusing. I visited 2 yarn stores and one sort of paper crafty store that had some yarn. And I got 3 cakes of this, which is Rico Rumi, which is a sort of gradient cotton yarn. It comes in these little bowls. I think they're 25 grams, and they're really, really fun. So I got myself 3 to test them out, and I might be tempted to get one of their bigger sets. And this is completely stolen from Little Bobbins of Danny of Little Bobbins, because she mentioned these in her last podcast, and yeah, I do anything and everything that Danny does. I'll talk more about the yarn later, but I have finished my first granny sort of, I don't know what this is going to be. I think most likely I want to hang these up in the kitchen because I think they'll be really pretty. Like, look at that. How cool are the colors? So of course I had to start up with the rainbow one, and no, these have not been blocked or washed or anything. But I just did a giant granny square to see how far I would get with one 25 gram mini. And I think it's a good size. I mean, these could also be good for like a bigger washcloth. I'm not going to use them for dishes, but they could be nice hand towels. And I just imagine like a little rack with these hanging up. How cute are they? So I finished the first one, and I am working on my second, which is this one. And I have one more, so I'll have 3 altogether, and then I might have to get some more. I mean, I think one of these bowls was €3 or something, so it wasn't very pricey. And I was using a 3mm hook because that's the only hook that my sister had. So I am still using a 3mm hook. I just switched to one of mine that I have from like a set that I got as a gift at some point. So yeah, that's another whip/FO, and I think they're really, really fun. And then, before we go back to the crochet train, I cast on a new sweater. So I, a while ago, got myself this yarn, which is unspun Hillesvåg yarn. It has a Norwegian name, I don't know what it's called, but it's the unspun that you can get from Hillesvåg. And it comes, I think they only have natural shades, and I got this from Knit with Attitude in London when they had a sale. Can you tell I'm such a sales shopper? Yeah, and so I got 2 sort of big, they're not plates, they're like massive chunks of yarn, and the yarn comes double-stranded. And what I did is, because I knew it was just gonna break all over the place, especially if you have a 3-year-old running around, so I balled it up by hand, which I think is helping a little bit. And I have knit with Pletulopi before, and I didn't mind it. This I'm finding quite challenging to knit with. It's easier now that I'm on the stockinette, but it was a bit of a pain. And yeah, initially, of course, I didn't bring up my swatch to show you, but I tried holding it with a couple of different colors of mohair. But I felt with the dark color and the lighter mohair, it just sort of looked almost muddy, like all the fuzz just created like a fuzzy looking, old looking thing. So I decided to go with just this yarn. And I am just drafting my own pattern. So what I'm doing is I want a really nice oversized turtle, sort of cowl neck, turtleneck sweater. And that's what I'm doing. So I cast on some rib. I think I cast on 54 stitches, which I have about a 13 stitch gauge. Knitted as long as felt right. Then I divided the stitches into raglan increases. I did some short rows, and now I'm just doing raglan increases, and you can't see any of it because it's black. But yeah, this is where we are. I am basically making my ultimate cozy, warm sweater, which again, I will need. Yeah, so I really, really love it. The yarn, it feels really nice. It's really like, it's 100% wool. This is proper sheepy. It smells like a sheep farm. Like I said, I'm finding it a bit of a pain because it keeps falling apart. And I didn't think I would have that issue because I'm not a tight knitter. But yeah, here we are. Sorry, I can't give you any exciting pattern or anything. It's just going to be a top-down raglan with a sort of oversized fit. I don't know if I have enough yarn. We'll see. We'll figure something out, but this is where we are for now. And I think once I'm past the raglan increases, this is going to be so simple, and it's flying off the needles because I think my gauge is like 13 stitches per 10 centimeters. I'm using 5mm needles, and yeah, it's really enjoyable. I just need to be very careful not to break the yarn. So yeah, that is one new cast on. And then lastly, I mentioned that I am joining my first ever crochet along. So I am doing the Sun Gold Blanket Crochet Along by Attic 24, who is Lucy. So these are the colors that I'm using. I just bought the pack. I'm not being very creative with this. I think there were 2 packs, but when it came out, there was only the Stylecraft Specialty K pack, so that's the one I got. And there's now also one by Yarnsmiths, and I might be tempted to try the yarn at some point. But yeah, I'm just following what Lucy says. So it started today, and I have started mine. I only brought one ball of yarn to show you. So this is the Stylecraft Specialty K. I am using my trusty Knit Pro Waves hook because it is my favorite. And yeah, this is where we are. So Lucy, you have so many options with her patterns, which I think is really fun. And for this one, she gives you a sort of random stripe option. So every week you get, I think, 15 stripes with all the colors. But she also does a color wash option, which, you know me, I love like a color wash blanket. I did the Dahlia in a color wash, and I just love sort of fades and rainbows. And I was almost tempted to just do this order. I just made this order up when I created this sort of cheat sheet, so I know which colors are which. Yeah, I just know the color names. But in the end, I decided to just trust Lucy. I'll just do the crochet chart that she provides for the color wash. So I started off with magenta, and now I think I'm going to sort of stripe in this color, which is boysenberry, and then we'll just sort of move through the colors, and I think it'll be really fun. I also wasn't sure if I was going to follow the pattern, but it's actually really pretty. I'm not sure if you can see, it's like a wavy sort of lace stitch. It's very simple, and I actually really enjoy it. So yeah, I did this morning. Very happy so far. Did I swatch? No. Did I do a sample? No. Did I do the crochet chain in the beginning? No, I just did a foundation row. But yeah, it's working pretty well. I'm using my 4mm hook, and yeah, very, very excited. I mean, these colors are just amazing, aren't they? They're such a fun rainbow. It's a rainbow without any blues, but it's really, really pretty. It's really cheerful, and I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, those are all of my works in progress and finished objects, and I will now move on to my Germany acquisition. So if you're not here for that, that's absolutely fine. And I will see you next time. And if you do want to stick around, I will just sort of get reorganized and see you in a second. Alright, so the first yarn store I went to was a sort of papercraft store with my mum that I knew has a shelf of yarn. And most of the yarn was really sort of high-end yarn, like La Mana, they had some Biche Bouche, they had some Isaya. And I just went to have a look. I didn't really plan on buying anything, but I did get two little... I mean, I went to Germany to buy British yarns, right? I got two little balls of Rowan Baby Cash Soft Merino, which is 57 wool, 33 acrylic, and 10% cashmere. And I bought these because A, they were on sale. They're like €4 per ball, and B, I still want my magenta hat. And you may be saying, didn't you take pink yarn to make yourself a pink hat already? And yes, I did. I did take some magenta Drops Daisy to Germany to make myself a hat. Didn't get around to it. And then I saw this, And this is actually more of the magenta that I wanted. It's darker than the original yarn that I plan to use. And I mean, this is gonna look so good with my coat as well. So I got these specifically to make myself a hat, most likely one of the many 2x2 ribbed hat patterns that are out there. There's like a million of them. So yeah, this needs to happen. This was definitely sort of a very project focused buy. And then I went to 2 like proper yarn stores, which with a 3-year-old is quite stressful. But I'll show you quickly what I got. I got 2 skeins of German sock yarn from the first store that I went to. This is Rico Design, again, sprinkly stripy socks. This is a 4-ply sort of regular sock yarn, and I really quite like Rico sock yarns. And this one is with merino, which I haven't seen that before, and I thought the colors were really fun. They're just really pretty. I'm not sure if they're coming across a bit less saturated than they are in real life. They're quite bright. But I thought these were really fun. They feel really nice. And I mean, how can I go to Germany and not buy German sock yarn? So I grabbed these 2. And like I said, I got the Rico Rumi to make my little face cloths, dishcloths, whatever cloths. And this is sparkly, so you can't see, but this is what they look like. And I've shown you the 2 granny squares that I already made. They come in this sort of makeup. They're really fun. They have a million colors. Yeah, very obsessed. 100% cotton. And then, I mean, I should stop buying yarn. But what I don't ever really have enough of is yarn to hold together with yarn in my stash. So I've sort of been looking for that. So I got, again, from Rico, this is their Essential Super Kid Mohair Silk, 70% mohair, 30% silk. I got 3 balls of this to make some kind of lentil. And yes, this is the color I already have a million sweaters in, but it's also a color that I love. So I got 3 balls of this. And for about the same price point, they also had this yarn, which is baby alpaca silk. So I would say this is very similar to your sort of standard Suri silk, Suri alpaca blend. This is also 200 meters per 25 grams. So this is basically the same meterage as mohair, which I thought was interesting because I find usually Suri silk has less yardage. So I thought this was quite interesting. And I actually got 4 of these, again, to hold with one of my many sort of cones, like something affordable held together with this will make a really nice garment. Yeah, and that is all that I got. And that was supposed to be the only yarn store that we visit. But then my sister actually came with us on another trip. And my sister is now like proper crocheter with a capital C. I mean, she used to crochet in the past, but never really did it for very long. And I gave her a crochet blanket book for her birthday in November. And she's been obsessed. She's on her 2nd blanket now, and it's really fun. So, of course, we went yarn shopping together. And she very much enabled me to buy everything. So I got some more German sock yarn, of course. I got a Schoppel Zauberball in these really fun colors. I found it really hard to decide. This is colorway Drachenauge, colorway 2528. So I got this to make some more socks. And then you may or may not know that I'm obsessed with their edition 3, which is, I would say, comparable. I mean, it looks like a Zauberball, but it's 100% merino, and it is, let's see, is it DK weight, sport weight? 150 meters per 50 gram, sport weight. And this is great. I actually bought some of this at the Knitting and Stitching show, and I never dare use it because it feels so special, which is so stupid. I should just use it. But I got 2 balls of it, and sadly they're not the same dye lot. This one looks very different than this one, but it's the only ones that they had. And they're both in the colorway Tante Emma, which is 2361. And these ones, I hope I don't just stash them away as well. I tend to like stash away the nice stuff and not use it, which is so stupid. I should just use what I have. And I think that might sort of be my motto for 2024. Because I keep going to really nice places or yarn shows and buying really nice things. And then I'm afraid I'll ruin it. So I just don't even knit with it at all. But yeah, I got these 2. And then last but not least, they had, again, why is La Mana everywhere? They had La Mana yarn, and this is their Merida base, which is 50% wool, 25% silk, and 25% polyamide. So theoretically, you could use this for socks, but I don't know. It's too nice for socks, but you could. And they had really nice colors of this, so I decided to go with a different color palette to what I usually go for. I skipped all the pinks and purples and got this almost neutral color palette plus the blue. And I'm going to make myself a sensible sweater. I've been wanting to make more striped sweaters for a while, and I've been playing with my cones, and I never really found a color combination that felt just right. But this, I think, is going to be a very sensible sweater. It's going to have stripes, but I think because the colors are quite neutral and the yarn is a bit shiny and looks a bit fancy with the silk, this could actually work really well even as like an office sweater. So I have the stripes pattern by Andrea Mowry, so I might just use that, or I might do something else. But I think these will look really fun as stripes, and it'll be something different to what I already have, and I'm hoping it'll make a sort of sweatshirty, easy fit sweater that might be quite good for the office. Because I tend to just wear, black pants and usually a black blazer on top of everything. So this could be something that I could wear with all of my blacks, and I don't know. I don't need to be like all black and monochrome tones at work, but somehow I am. So I'm trying to embrace it, and I think this might be a good idea. And then last but not least, my lovely sisters also got me yarn for Christmas. It was really sweet. Apparently the one that went with me to the knitting and stitching show took notes when we were there. And she took notes of all the things I liked. So they gave me a fancy measuring tape. I never have these fancy ones because my son will ruin it. So I'll have to hide this away from him. They got me a yarn cozy. I was very amazed. Like, how do they even know what a yarn cozy is? So you can put a cake of yarn in here and it'll stop it from going everywhere and falling apart. Also with these cute sheep. And then they got me a hand-dyed skein of yarn. So this is, I'm going to assume you pronounce it Tammy V Colors, who is a German indie dyer. I've seen her yarn before, but I've never actually owned any. This is her Tough Sock base, which feels like, yeah, it's a 75% virgin wool merino, 25% polyamide. It feels nice, but it does feel like a bit tougher, if you want to call it that. And I think the color is really beautiful. I'm not sure how much it's showing up. This is colorway Burg, which means castle in Germany. And yeah, it's really pretty. I think this will make a really nice pair of socks. So what I should do is cake this up, put it in this little yarn cake holder and knit with it straight away. Not sure if it's going to happen straight away, but I thought it was so sweet that they, went on Etsy to find me hand-dyed yarn, and yeah, I love it. So those are all of my purchases and gifts from Germany. I mean, I have been so bad. I've been buying too much yarn, and I need to stop. I need to stop immediately, and I hope I actually will for a while, because I want to enjoy the things that I have. And I buy so many things with a plan, and then I never get around to it. And I realize I can't buy knitting time. So what I need to do is buy less yarn and spend the time that I spend, browsing all the things. Instead, I should be knitting. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. But that's it for my sort of Germany and yarn and knitting content in general. If you do want to stick around for a tiny bit of chat, it's not going to be very long anyways. First up, I got a new phone because my phone broke, which was not very fun. So we'll see how this episode shapes up. If it's in some way not perfect from the techniques perspective, then be patient. I will work it out. And yeah, otherwise, our trip, it was really nice. It was really busy. We went for 8 days. We flew out on the 24th, which actually was quite good. The airport was much less busy than it has been when we've been flying before Christmas. And so yeah, that was quite smooth. Seeing family and Christmas and my son, getting ridiculously excited about Christmas was really nice. Sadly, now he is used to someone always playing with him all the time, because that's what happens when you see family. So it's been a hard calm down for him. But yeah, it all worked out pretty well. We purposely didn't plan too much, and we actually saw my in-laws for the first time in 1.5 years, so that was really nice. Yeah, it's just been a lot of family, and then we got back on the Monday. We flew home on New Year's Day, which again was quite easy, stress-free. We had a simple New Year's Eve with some family, so it wasn't, party time. Yeah. How many more times can I say Probably a lot. Yeah, so we got back, and it's been a weird one since, honestly. I think it's because you just get out of any kind of routine, and my son's all messed up from traveling and now missing his grandparents and so on. And I think with me, this is the first time I'm properly sort of taking time off work, and somehow I forgot that I have a kid, because you imagine if you take off time, you're gonna have all this time to be cozy and knit and do all these things, but in reality I have a 3-year-old. Of course, it's really stressful, and all of our routine has gone out of the window. So in a way, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm sort of also looking forward to going back to work on Monday and sort of getting back to our life and our routine, and I think it'll be quite good for us. We haven't really been doing that much because the weather has been miserable, and it's gonna get cold as well, which yesterday my son was in nursery, so my husband and I got to have a little couple's date away, which was really, really nice. And yeah, otherwise, honestly, we're not doing very much, but it's nice to be back. Our hallway is proper finished. We had a little mouse adventure before we left, but we've also combated that now. And yeah, we're planning a couple of DIY projects around the house, but again, not really doing too much. We were going to go to some interesting places on the train on the weekend, but it turns out train strikes, that we are not going anywhere. So I'm hoping we'll find a way to just sort of cozy in this weekend, have some more fires in the fireplace, and hopefully I can get some crafting done. I really want to keep working on my sun gold blanket, and yeah, let me know if you're joining that as well. I know at least one person now is doing it as well, and if there's a couple of us, that would be really, really fun. And yeah, let me know. Did you get some yarn for Christmas? Did you do did you get knitting time? Did you do any yarny adventures over the holidays? Or were you also busy with family and all of that? Yeah, I think that's it for me for today. I'm also definitely losing my voice, so I'm going to go and have some coffee, and I will talk to you most likely next week. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!